It's AI content detection. My goal today is to kind of go through maybe 45 minutes or so we can do a lot of question and answer. We are launching here, hopefully in the coming month or two, a brand new tool called Sidekick, which is intended to help you identify the utilization of AI in these applications. It is a very polarizing topic at this point in time. And the reason why I say that is back in November, a study was done. And at that point in time, at least for scholarships specifically, just north of 60% of applications had leveraged the assistance of tools like ChatGPT. Since then, I mean, dozens and dozens of really powerful AI tools have been built. That number, I guarantee, was north of 80%. And it's also started to permeate into other types of use cases than just scholarships. It could be grant prompts, it could be writing of nomination forms, it could be writing of references. It's happening all over the place. And I think it's okay. And the reason why I say that is we in general are promoting the utilization of AI as a workflow and kind of workload management type of concept, right? We're being taught in schools now how to use it to make our own daily lives easier. So it's going to only occur more and more and more. And again, that's okay. The thing that we need to look at though is how is it being utilized? Is it an applicant putting in like an essay prompt to help come up with a framework that they will then go and customize and write their own content around? Or are they literally copying and pasting into ChatGPT a essay prompt and then copying and pasting the content back into a tool like Reviewr? If that's the case, we have to be aware of it. Some other kind of considerations to think through is going to be how we're collecting data. So if we're going to kind of start to look into how we detect the utilization of AI, we also now need to ideally pull content out of file uploads. It's very, very hard, to do things like that. We'll get into redaction of data as well, but that's another reason why we love putting content right into a tool versus having a bunch of file uploads. And then the next discussion point really comes down to like, what are you going to do with this information? Do I feel like we should be auto disqualifying people who are utilizing AI to write their content? No, I don't. I do think though we need to identify trends. So like, what is the threshold? Like, what's the average amount of utilization our applicants use? And then anybody who is significantly higher than that probably does require a bit of an investigation. And maybe you don't do this for everybody. Maybe you only save this for the top 10 or the people who got selected, right, to confirm things. There's so many different ends of the spectrum that we can go down. Now, our kind of obligation to you is to make it very easy to identify the use of it. So, again, what does that look like in Reviewr? So if I jump back into our platform, here's kind of a mock-up of what it's going to look like. So either way, in Reviewr, you get a menu of all of your applicants, right? You can sort, you can filter, you can find them. We're going to toss in a couple different tabs over here, one of which is going to be a percent of how much AI utilization they use, and the other is going to be plagiarism detection, which we really didn't talk about yet, but very similar kind of concept. One that's actually easier to identify as well. And so the goal here is that we can kind of visualize and filter from high to low, like who has used what percent of their form is used by AI. And then we can create these thresholds. So we can say, well, on average, 27%. So anybody that's over maybe 60%, let's investigate further on. So what I can do is I can then leverage this to open up an applicant's profile, and it's going to show me on a question by question basis, whatever questions that we went and did a detection against, what percent used AI and what percent was plagiarized. So in this example, this is completely made up information. This one was 100% AI written. So this was copy and pasted directly from ChatGPT. I can then click on it and it brings me into the results. So I can tell you exactly how much of it was AI derived versus how much of it was manipulated by humans, and I can show you, what was actually flagged within that essay itself. This is going to be really popular, without a doubt, for people who are doing scholarships. On top of that, if I go back, it's going to show me what percent was potentially plagiarized. Again, that one's much easier because now when I open this up, it's going to show me two things. One is it's going to show me what content was plagiarized. In fact, it'll show you how it was plagiarized. So if it was a one by one, identical match, if it was paraphrased, if minor changes were made, and then it's going to show you where it was plagiarized from. So we can actually see the source that it was taken from. It could be from Wikipedia, it could be from LinkedIn, right? There's a giant repository. I'm not going to get too deep in the weeds on this today. Just know that we're kind of at the forefront of this to make sure that we're leveraging as many tools as we can, because again, this is a very evolving space that we want to make sure that we're giving you both accurate data, as well as checking all the sources that are out there. So again, high level, I don't think the utilization of AI is bad in the creating of content. I just think we have to be aware of how it's being utilized and to what extent. Side note, a lot of our clients are also in the submission form right before you submit, adding a quick little checkbox. And they do this for a lot of things. I ensure that my data is accurate. I ensure that all my deliverables have been added. And then I also, I'm seeing a lot of checkboxes that say I also attest that I didn't utilize Chat GPT to help me write my application. Sometimes that in itself will kind of scare people away from using it. That we are more focused on having a higher detection scores.